click right there. Look, treasure increases. So don't click the website.
Where's Mark at? Either way, one.
Well, I see my
They've
face.
got it fixed already.
All right, Dane.
Our IT guy.
Call to order, y'all. Welcome to a special Guthrie 66th City Council meeting workshop. Call to order. Dane, go ahead and take off with this discussion of fire EMS call volume.
Hey guys, for those of you that don't know me, my name's Dane Lawson. I'm the lieutenant at Guthrie Fire Department. I've been there about 13 years. I'm currently serving as the union president. This is Captain Ryan Reeves. He's been here, how long, Captain? 15 years. He's currently the union treasurer for us. And this is firefighter Sam Kohler. He's currently the vice president to the union. So speaking with Leroy and Chief Harlow recently about our manpower issues, he decided to have us put together this presentation and present it to you guys. So that is why we're here today.
Go for it.
So you're as big as you're gonna get.
For now.
Just checking.
So you flip to the next page. I don't know if you guys saw our wage presentation. Did you guys ever see that? Okay, well, we made one back in October. We were instructed by Leroy to do that again. So as far as the wages on the right side, don't pay too much attention to that. We just put this together. So just a few, like the call volume, this was from 2020 on every department here. Just to show you guys, that center column is each department's manpower versus ours, and then the average calls per firefighter. As you guys can see, the only department on this slide that beats us in that category is Bethany at 135, but they also don't run the ambulance. We are the only department on this slide that actually transports patients besides Kingfisher. As you guys can see, our call volume is pretty significant, especially considering some of these populations are double, if not triple, some of ours. The next slide here, right here in this first column is more where I want you to pay attention. These numbers here are what these departments we're comparing to would have to increase to even match our calls per man. So just for example, Edmond, they'd have to increase their call volume 92% just to match what we are running per firefighter on shift. Stillwater is really significant at 202%. Dell City is pretty average with us, but they also don't transport. Yukon, 51%. The Village, 53. Nichols Hills, 31. And Mustang, 41. Again, these departments on this slide don't transport patients to the hospital like we do either. Next slide here. I've got the overtime hours worked since 2018 and on. I was speaking with Chief Harlow. In 2018, we couldn't really come up with what cost us about the same as what last year did. But between 2020 and 2021, we've had significant overtime increase.
So the 153 was 21, right? Obviously.
The 153 was last year's overtime completely paid out to the department. And then I kind of just put in, to put it into perspective, our guys are working $29.12 an hour compared to a regular city employee of $28. Then you add that average of 229 hours, we're pushing over 3,000 hours per man. Call volume increase, and this is a very good, important slide. The last 7 years, when you see it keep adding up from 2015 all the way to 2021, it's very significant. And we're doing this with the same manpower we had back in 20 years ago. So our call volume is significantly increasing, and our manpower is not to match the call volume. As you can see over here, in 2021, we were 573 calls to date. So far this year, we're 667. We're averaging roughly about 50 calls more from January and February this year than last year. So we're on pace to hit about another 600 more calls this year than what we ran last year. So we're looking at hitting about 4,400 calls.
Is this due to COVID? Increase or
Well,
just
so in
overall?
2020, whenever COVID kind of first
Right.
kicked off,
Right.
our calls actually went down. Less people were calling us.
Okay.
Isn't that right, Chief?
Yeah, nobody wanted to be near a hospital, so for about a month and a half,
Yeah.
2 months, our calls went way
And if y'all were needing a breakdown of COVID-related calls, we can also pull any statistic that we gathered these records from as well.
I just thought
So,
I'd ask.
but it's very few calls were being due to COVID.
I actually have that in the wage presentation. We can get to that if we need to. So call volume impact, 40% of our calls are overlapping, meaning like every third call, our station is completely empty. So if we drop another 911 call, we're having to notify another agency, or those people are just having to flat out wait. This is partially due to a higher level of care being provided by our paramedics, and more interventions are being done. There's absolutely no dig at the hospital out here, Mercy Logan. They just can't take care of some of the stuff we're running on. They still have the capability. They have great nurses, great doctors, PAs, etc. They just can't take care of some of these patients. So
So you're running to
I was-
Oklahoma City or Edmond, right?
exactly. So I don't know, Chief, what would you say? Probably 85% or more of our patients being transported probably going south.
Oh, easily.
Easily. So you've got a turnaround time of 2 hours at
Yeah.
least. By the time we've got an average on-scene time of about 30 minutes. Treat the patient, then we transport, and then once we get back in service, restock the truck, clean everything. It's a good 2 hours. Let's see, I've already covered, if the call volume continues, we're gonna hit over 4,400 this year. Overlapping calls. In the past 30 years, I've mentioned this as well, call volumes increased, but manpower is not to match the call volume. In 2021, just to show you guys, our overlapping calls were about 31%. 2021, overlapping calls were 36, and then 2022 to this date, are 40% of the time. We've got 2 or more calls going at once. We also started a new deal Chief Harlow put in probably around June. But we've got a new section in emergency reporting where it basically keeps track of how often our station's empty. So I just pulled it this year so far, and it's been 18% of the time our station's completely empty. Just no one's at the station to be able to respond to extra calls.
So what happens in that case? Does it happen?
It happens a lot.
every day.
No, I know, but what happens?
It happens quite frequently.
We
yes.
have to call the nearest mutual aid
Yeah.
agency,
And then-
or if it's a fire, you know, if your house is on fire, you're gonna be sitting there waiting for the closest
Oh, wow.
volunteer or automatic aid to arrive.
How many of those times are you being the responding mutual aid agency instead of dealing with somebody here? In other words, if we can't handle our call volume, we call a mutual aid agency, right?
Yes.
Okay,
we have
so
automatic
how
aid.
many of the times that we're 18% are we out doing somebody else's stuff instead of our own?
In other words,
You
being
talking
a
about-
mutual
Oh,
aid.
You talking about people calling us for mutual aid?
Yes, that's what he's
Yeah.
talking.
Oh, I would, Chief, I would.
Is
It's
it common or
hard
not
'cause
common?
We don't exactly put that in emergency. report,
Common or
but-
not common?
Very common. I would say IMSA's calling us twice a week. And
No,
that's very
that's not necessarily what he's asking, why is that 18% due to us being out? running?
Oh, no, this is just our calls.
We always try to take care to make sure that we're not expending all of our resources to help somebody else.
Well, I understand that. I'm just
We may
asking,
send
is
a
there ever?
truck, we may send 2 people to go help on a mutual aid call, but we always try to keep staff back.
So this 18%'s our own
18%
house
is just
here.
our own calls, basically, yes.
Basically, Councilman Chase, the standard is if we're low and we're already busy,
We're
we
declining.
refuse to go. help.
Right, right.
I mean, usually if we just have one ambulance out and IMSA or someone else is calling us for mutual aid, we tell them no.
Okay.
Then if we've got a truck out and the hospital's calling us for a transfer, and we usually tell them to wait or find someone
Well,
else.
I know what you're saying, I just
Yeah,
know
yeah,
that a lot,
yeah.
more often
Yeah,
than
it's-
not, they're calling us, asking us for help than we are them.
Right.
So that's why I was asking that question. Go ahead.
Okay, so we can nitpick you guys all day with calls. These are just some of our most recent ones. Like on 213, Blue Crew had a commercial structure fire on the west side. We had one battalion chief in truck 1 responding over there by himself. And thank goodness that the suppression system fired off and put the fire out. Because if that would have never happened, then that thing would have been fully involved. We would have had another downtown situation.
Yeah.
Dispatch several times has, I wouldn't say several times, but we had an incident recently that was pretty significant. We had to have dispatch come over POV in their own vehicle and pick up paramedic Reeves and take him to a call for a patient, thus delaying preventative care.
A cardiac arrest call.
Cardiac arrest call. And that just decreased the survivability chances dramatically. Then there's also been several instances, like, I understand, guys, we're not the only department that is struggling with manpower. Every department needs it, but we've had several cases where we are calling the police department because we've got one person to respond to an ambulance to the scene. They start treating that patient. We have PD send over a unit, and then PD's driving us to the hospital. We are good at improving, basically. So not only does that hurt us, but it hurts PD because that's taking a unit out of service for them as well. Kind of effects on manpower, injuries occurring on the job with short crews. Over the past 2 years, we've had 7 firefighters go out on significant injuries requiring major surgeries. As of right now, there's 2 more possibly about to have significant surgeries as well, leaving a strain on these crews. We've got 2 personnel currently listed in the military. 1 is about to be activated for a full year. So we're going to be short that crew, 1 person for sure. So we just put in a mandatory callback, Chief Harlow. Guys are taking punitive action to choose to decline the mandatory callback because we're looking at 72 to 96 hours straight, sometimes 48. And I mean, you're coming off shift with a morning that, hey, you can't leave because we've got to cover the station, and if you do, you're getting rode up. That's also taking guys that have chosen this punitive action, their chance of eligibility for promotion, which that's their decision, but I also understand whenever you don't want to be away from your family for 72 hours or 96. It's,
How many are you normally there?
how many of us are normally there?
No.
How many hours?
Yeah, what's
How many hours?
Do you work 24, 48?
We work 24, and it's about 10 days a month, roughly. In 2021, there were 35 mandatory callbacks for personnel that have been going off shift. This number that's pretty significant. I know that doesn't sound like a lot to you guys, but that is, our station is in a bind and needs to get up to a 6-man minimum. We have a 6-man minimum. We were at about, 2 of our shifts were 8-man crews, 1 of them were 9. We just now got we got the other 2 up to 9-man shifts just here recently, and we try to keep a 6-man minimum. But most of the time throughout the year, you're always going to have 2 people off on vacation, sick, injured, etc. This isn't really important. We won't get into this. I just listed names of people that everyone left. I figured listing the names and showing you where they went to would probably be better than just showing you guys a number. I think I averaged it to about 2 to 3 people a year leaving for more pay and less work. More manpower is needed to ensure the quality care of our citizens. Better overall service for the citizens of Guthrie is our top priority. Guthrie is a growing city and new neighborhoods and developments and more people and potential calls for services. Chief Harlow and I just spoke yesterday. We've got about 800 new builds potentially going in city limits and 2,000 outside city limits. And we just rough estimated two per household. I think he found the Census Bureau that showed 3. So that's going to increase our call volume significantly too, potentially. Overtime paid would decrease if we could get more manpower, less injuries from exhaustion, and then overall department morale improved and mental and physical health. I've been here 13 years, guys, and the morale at that station's probably the worst I've seen it. It's just, guys are exhausted, ran to the ground, and it's just affecting the morale, everything else to go there. So in conclusion, I kind of put, it should always be the city's top priority to invest in public safety and to staff those departments appropriately to handle the call volume. The updating of the fire service has a direct impact on insurance ratings as well for the city. A good rating is a great interest of business or industry considering Guthrie as their location. And then here on the end, I just put revenue ideas. I got a hold of City Today, and they've advised me there's 3,500 billable meters right now. And this is just an idea, guys. If you're putting maybe $5 fee on those, that would bring in $210,000 of revenue a year.
You're talking about on the residential water meters?
Yes. There's also about 800 new homes being built to add into that with $48,000 a year. We declined, got a hold of the hospital today and got the numbers, how many transfers we've turned down just due to manpower not being able to take them. And that's about 74 transfers this last year that we declined Logan on, and I just put a rough estimate of $100,000 on there. So I mean, we're looking at potentially, almost 300 to 400K.
How many men do you need? I don't see that anywhere in this
So
presentation.
our rough estimate in our head was 12 per shift.
And you've got your 9 now, or
We're
your
9.
so you need 9 men.
I believe so, to function the way we need to function safely and for the citizens of Guthrie. Well, Chief Harlow, do you kind of agree with that number?
Well, there were studies done, and Ryan, you know better than I do, they were done decades ago that showed we needed 12-man shifts, and our call volume was half of what it is now, so.
But what's the economic impact of that? Annual? Of the 9 men?
We're talking 70 grand a person, with everything rolled up, the uniforms, equipment, benefits, and all that.
And that's with
It's
paramedics.
expensive.
And another thing that I didn't really have in that slideshow is that we, as a union, came together and got into our contract that we're going to start sending every personnel to paramedic school that's not a paramedic, and that's a year of a guy going to school. But we're trying to better our patient care and quality, and that puts a strain on our manpower too. But we also, in turn, put into our contract with you guys that whenever you invest so much with this employee, that they have to, if they leave within a minimum of 3 years, because we're investing so much into them, then they got to pay that back. And we also don't pay out, what else did we put in there? That pay back the training, and then they don't get 100% of their vacation accrued.
Where it turns to be a wash,
So we're-
essentially, if they leave before that.
I mean, we're trying to keep people here. The turnover
Sorry,
rate's just.
excuse me, but
Go
you
ahead.
said you need 12, and you said 12 was years ago, so what's the number?
No, the 9 is what we just talked about.
Not what he's got, 12 what he
No,
needs.
we talked about 9 more.
12 is a great start.
Per
The
shift.
last-
Yeah.
This was the last study that was done, and it's, like I said, it's a couple decades old.
That also was 1985.
So what number are you gonna say, so you're not coming back here in 6 more months saying we need 4 more per shift?
I
You're
think,
gonna address it, what number do
You
you
gotta get
need?
it all.
yeah.
It's 12 men, 3 shifts, 12 men, you need 9 more.
12's enough? Cause you kinda talk like it's not.
Without having a third-party
think it is
study
either.
done, there's no
Yeah.
concrete.
We've
Well,
got-
it's your
You run the
department, you
show,
guys
what do
should
you
know the
think?
number to this.
Well, we put
it's
us
a-
in a lot better shape than we are now, that's.
And what's keeping you from having them now?
Just-
I mean, we
just to put-
negotiated, did we not,
Okay,
in
just to-
October, pay raises and things that's supposed to make your department more
Competitive, yeah, to
competitive
retain
and
guys.
desired,
We
so,
don't have positions
Yeah,
in
to
the
retain
budget.
guys.
huh?
We don't have those positions in the budget. We're full for every budgeted position. that we
Okay.
have.
Unlike, well, that's where my confusion is, because the
Just-
police
yeah.
department holds like 8 positions to fill, was
I
that,
think they may actually be full now.
or they did before? So you have no
We
budgeted?
are.
So the city of Stillwater, just for example, last year compared to us, they ran like 3,800, we ran 3,800. They also have 77 guys on shift. And 5 stations, we got 26 and 1 station.
So you're saying for the budget that you have, you can't hire anymore? Okay, I didn't get that, okay.
Well, now I'm gonna have to run my mouth a little bit.
Go ahead.
Here we go.
That's why we're here.
There we go.
Come on. No, I agree with you guys.
Yeah.
You're short-staffed. I hear you, I see you. You're always trying to be 2 or 3 places at once. And I know me, I'm not in the fire deal, but if I've got 2 or 3 places that I need to be at one time, that stresses me more than doing the work that I'm doing, because I'm worrying about the next one I gotta go do.
Right.
So I don't think anybody up here would argue that you have too much help. My part that, to be blunt, that kind of chaps me is here we are 4 or 5 months into the new budget, and now you bring it to us. When we were dealing with the budget, why was it not brought to us and go, hey, we're shorthanded, let's see what we can do with the budget? It kind of leads you to go, well, here's our budget, here's what we need. Don't say nothing about the help. Once we're committed to all that, then we'll come back in 4 or 5 months and want some
Budget
more
is out of
help.
our hands as a union.
no.
That's a city.
Right.
That's a
city deal.
Mr. Channel, that is a great point, because we have been bringing this to the city. I've been here 13 years, been serving as a union president for probably 5. We bring it every year.
Well, that's
We bring it every
the
year.
thing that,
And see, we just recently brought it, and we were told to put it on hold, and we were gonna revisit it in January, and we wanted to build a presentation for you guys, and then that got pushed off till now March.
I would have much rather seen this in August
Yeah, no, I
for the
understand.
budget. So then maybe we're not so committed to this stuff over here, we can try to move something over to help you guys.
Well, I mean, we could utilize this towards our next budget,
Yeah,
but as far as changing something right now, I think you're right. I think it's.
that's the thing, you can,
It's not too late. This budget's designed to be
the
manipulated.
budget can be amended.
Yes.
But it's kind of like, and I know you guys didn't bring it, but it's kind of like, we're not gonna say nothing, we're gonna get all we can get in the budget here and get them to commit to that, and then 4 or 5 months later, we'll hit them and see if they'll give us some more.
Yeah, that was
And I'm not saying you guys did that, I'm saying your management or whoever had this idea should have been thinking about this back in August or whenever, when we were working on the new budget, because I didn't.
I want to make one point on that.
Okay.
You guys are aware how we do our budget here. Every department in the city makes requests to the management team. We fill those based on the amount of revenue given within the city. I can tell you, I ask for manpower every year. PD asks for manpower every year. Kenny asks for manpower every year.
Right.
You guys don't see all those requests because we as a management team in the city, we try to live within the amount of revenue that we're projected to have. So you guys don't get to see all this. It doesn't make it to your level. It's not saying it wasn't brought up, it just didn't get to your level.
Well, and that's the thing, we can't help if we don't know about it. But now here you are as employees wanting help. We should have heard about this, or we should have addressed it at an earlier time in the budget.
And I agree with that
But
100%.
this is
And
the
that's,
perfect time for next year's budget because we're fixing to start that process in the next month.
Well, and
That's-
that's, because, it'll be July, August, whatever, before things kind of start to gel. And now, I don't know, I can't speak for everybody, but I don't think anybody up here would argue that you guys spend too much time in the recliner, outside of maybe Rice.
I wish,
But,
those are the ones that,
Well,
Yeah,
I agree that, and I'm new to the council, but when we were talking about your budget before, in my mind, I thought we were making everybody happy and that would retain people, because we saw the same name list before, people leaving and where they went and all that. And we, as a council, wanted to retain people, and that was our heart, that was our mindset, and it still is. So this is kind of a surprise to me as well, that,
yeah.
I didn't know you were short,
That
but
discussion was on the actual contract negotiations itself, improving the salary and benefits for those that are here, and making those efforts to get them and retain them.
Right.
But our call volume has gone up so much that the manpower we got now is just
Yeah.
not happening.
And I
well, it says it wasn't adequate for 30 years,
Yeah.
so, I mean,
100% will take the blame for it too, because I should have been pushing to meet with you guys a lot sooner.
Well, but on your defense, I've seen, I've been on this for quite a few years, and I've seen this presentation in the past. You know, but we haven't had the money, and I think
Right.
that we might have the money now. The one, I'm not for this $5, I'm not for adding anything
Right,
to the water
that
bill
was
anymore.
just an idea.
But I think that, in my opinion, Leroy needs to get with us and kind of shake out and see, you know, what can we do? How can we manipulate the budget? How can we move money around and get them some people before the next budget year so that we're not so stressed?
Yeah.
Because it's gonna make it harder.
We can't go through and what's happened in the past. We got to deal with what we got to deal with
Right.
now.
yeah,
And I'll throw
we're
a
for
couple
you, not
things on
against.
the revenues. Leroy and I talked about it, Dane and I talked about it a lot. It's gonna take a few years to catch up all these new houses that we're talking about, different plats. that are
It's a
gonna
big
be-
deal.
That adds up to EMS revenue for us in terms of our property tax agreement with the EMS district. The unfortunate thing is it takes 2 or 3 years for property tax rolls.
And we don't have that 2 or 3
So,
years.
and we don't have to.
Well, that's what we're saying.
Yeah, no, yeah.
State of affairs.
We're at a point anymore, we can't stay stagnant.
And-
We gotta add.
When I hear some of the stuff you go on, I wish I could be the dispatcher sometimes and go, what are you thinking?
They have a lot of openings down there.
Several of us that have been working that help out too.
But it, you know,
everything done.
y'all are having to do some diaper duty and, or that's just slang for some of the stuff they have you doing. And I don't know how we stop that or try to deter it. I think part of it is in the fees maybe now that we are charging where you gotta come out.
Yeah.
There has been a discussion statewide for several years on coming up with a legal way to refuse care on these
Yeah.
calls, and there is no way to do it without, with the current way of society and as litigious as they are, there's just no way to do it without.
I'd have a hard time keeping my pie hole shut on some of this stuff that you guys do
That's fine.
out there.
You know, and another thing, once,
So basically, you guys need 9 firefighters at the 50K level, not the 70-some thousand level, right?
that is the,
I know it's gonna add up with taxes and everything else. It's
So
gonna
we're
come
looking
up.
at 630,000.
Just a hair under 70 is the rolled up cost of an entry level new guy.
Okay, because that's all we're talking about is
That's-
9
yeah.
firefighters here. We're not talking about captains and chiefs and everything else.
yeah.
Well, then Leroy just needs to get with us and figure out where that money comes from.
And then another thing, once we do start adding manpower, our station is maxed out right now.
So now you need a new
We
station.
don't even have any budget. No,
Well, let's fire 3 of them and make some room.
I mean, I just, yeah.
Now, we did give some men in the past budget year, and then you took those men away and gave it as raises. I always had an issue
Well,
with that.
we got our 2 back. Those that you're referring to, we actually got back.
Yeah, but we gave those because
Yeah.
of a presentation like, similar to this, okay, and then they got stripped down.
I know
at
exactly
one
what
point.
you're talking about, Mr. Bothroyd, because I was on that negotiation team, and at the time, we were backed into a corner as a union and said, you guys either take the pay or you take the manpower.
I know, but-
And just to put, we wanted to get into our contract that, okay, you're gonna give us this 9th man crew, and keep it across the board, will you put in our contract that we will always have 9 men, and that was declined. So we chose pay to try to get compensated for the beating we take constantly with call volume. Because as you can see, we're 50 and 70% behind some of these departments in pay as well, that are doing half the work.
Well, and I think, and I don't speak for everybody up here, but I think everybody knows that we're going through a growth spurt.
Yeah.
And we do have the rooftops coming. That's the reason I ever wanted to be on council, was to try to help increase that.
Sure.
I think everybody else as well, for the most part. James
Yeah.
knows big time. And we just need to get you where you need to be and be done with it.
Sure.
And so we just have to figure out how that happens.
I say we didn't do it sooner, didn't we?
Well, yeah, but that's water under the bridge
I
now.
know.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody disagrees with what you're saying. here. I
Correct.
think we all know that there's a need. So, it's just a matter of how we can do it, when we can do it,
And it may go into
and
next.
it may not be
budget
this
or
year.
whatever.
So if you had those 12 per shift, does that cut out overtime?
That's
You're
gonna
have some
significantly
people-
drop it.
You're gonna have
Sure.
people sick or.
Yeah, exactly. We're
It's
still
not
gonna
gonna
have our,
cut it, but it's not gonna give the mandates that, okay, you have to work
72 to
another
96 hours.
24-hour shift.
I just
Cut out the
don't,
overtime right now, you're looking at $500,000 for 12 people.
Right.
But it's not gonna cut that out.
Yeah.
it's gonna
I see
drop.
what you- I see where you're
We still
going.
have,
But you say you don't have the room for them if you had them?
no, our station's, at
So how are you
9-man
gonna
shifts
hold?
right now, we've already outgrown our station.
There are,
Until we-
we could squeeze another one or two with some modifications, but adding 3 more per shift, there's.
I'll take a bunk bed in my room.
Yeah, exactly. I'll sleep.
That's what I'm thinking, about triple layer beds.
You guys can sleep together. Come
Yeah,
on.
we can build bunk beds, we're fine.
Looks like Lawson could share a recliner with somebody.
Everything else?
You guys have any more questions?
Well, the big question is where you're gonna put them. If we come through all this and we end up giving you your 9 men, where do they go?
That's the,
Because then you're gonna hit us for another $4 million fire station.
Well, and that's.
And I know that's coming. I know that's coming.
It's coming.
But you're gonna have to, we gotta get these 9 men in there, I mean, these other 9 men in there so that when that fire station gets built, you can start moving people around. Because then,
They need the help, and some of them have to stay in a Connex. I mean,
Yeah.
they need the help.
we'll come
You'll
stay at
figure
your
it out.
house and respond from your house. How's that?
you can come to mine and stay there.
Yeah,
But seriously, we need to figure that out.
All right.
100%.
I like the bunk bed idea. I know that's not a great idea, but
That's what-
We have quite a few fire apparatus stored at the armory right now that are totally inaccessible at the time of emergency. You put those to a second station, there's a lot of the issue covered right there.
we got the county, maybe the county can help jump in. We got emergency management building over there all renovated and maybe there's some room there.
I heard there's a water department going up for sale off of Sooner. We seriously, no, all jokes aside, I mean, we're gonna need something south. I don't think Harlow would disagree with this at all. We need something south, maybe something north. I mean, some of our response times are
I
35
know.
minutes.
And once we start growing the pop, we can do that.
Yeah.
You know, population starts increasing 4,000 or 5,000 like we're talking about, hey, it'll happen.
And a lot of this stuff isn't unusual for any city as they start growing. It's how do you fill that interim period when things catch up revenue-wise? That's kind of the boat we're getting into worse than we were already.
I think we need to get into the problem of where are we gonna put them. That way you already have your guys, and now we gotta
can
figure
make-
out where we put them.
We would absolutely make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, so,
And also, Chief Harlow knows that us as a union, we have a study going through our parent organization, the International Association of Firefighters, that is a needs assessment and station assessment, which, like we had spoken on before, the last one that was done in 1986, which was by Oklahoma State University at that time, said Guthrie at that time needed to be a 3-station town with 10-man crews at the main station and then 2 at the whatever satellite station. So they're in the process of doing that, and hopefully within this year, we'll have that available for everybody.
My latest study said we ought to make 500 a meeting, but I ain't getting that either.
Guess we're in the
Well,
wrong business then, right?
Yeah, all right.
I think we all agree you guys need men, so we just have to figure it out.
Well, if you guys don't have any more questions for us?
Thank y'all.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate it.
Dan. Appreciate it.
Don't let it fall behind the wayside. Gotta stay on top of it.
We're gonna adjourn the city council workshop and open the Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting. Call to order. We'll have it in a minute. I don't have any public comments. Do you have?
Any public comment?
Are there any public comments?
Any public comment?
Or this, or demolition superintendent.
Everybody else in that? go on.
In case you need to open the meeting.
We talked about this. We talked about this. Brian,
She's out there. She's out there at the nest. It's here out there.
Let's call to order the Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting.
Are you gonna do the pledge or anything?
Okay, so we're gonna
Adjourn.
adjourn.
Recess. The public works authority call this order. Get done with the houses in a
So this stuff will all be in a minute.
There's not much on there anyway.
Well, yeah, the trash is over there.
Oh, yeah. And you're gonna, and you're gonna,
Recess it and do those first. I've already called it. Lady right there. Okay.
and you're gonna program the city manager report.
He's our demolition superintendent.
Don't get a prayer.
The preacher's
You
out.
got a prayer? Okay, I'm sorry, I didn't see you. I don't see you, I'm sorry.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. God of our lives, families, businesses, government, and city, thank you for bringing us here today. Guide our city leaders as they fulfill the role that you have called them to. Watch over them and their families. I pray that you bless them and us, the citizens of Guthrie, Oklahoma, according to the riches of your glory. Help us to be strengthened with your power to live in all wisdom, discernment, and righteousness. I pray you will root and firmly establish us in your truth. Help us to be able to comprehend the greatness of your love and to love each other the way you have loved us. May we be filled with hope of a better life you desire for Guthrie, Oklahoma. You have the power to do this. You want so much more for us than we want for ourselves. Help us to seek you and live in a way that gives you thanksgiving and praise. Amen.
Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead and recess this meeting and go into our city council meeting and come back to this where everybody will have a chance to talk. So our call to order consent agenda, all matters listed. Approve the minutes of the February 15, 2022 special city council meeting. So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Place your votes.
All votes are in?
Unanimous. Let's see, we're going to number 3, conduct a public hearing to determine if the properties identified in Resolution 2022-09 are dilapidated and have become detrimental to the health, safety, or welfare of the general public of the community, or if the properties create a fire hazard which is dangerous to other property. Bill, go ahead.
All right, we're here to discuss Resolution 2022-09 tonight, discussing the dangerous and dilapidated structures.
There you go.
I assume that we want to do this like we've done it in years past, where we present one of the houses and then give the public a chance, or the property owner a chance to address the council.
Sounds like a good forum.
Okay, the first house is 309 South 2nd. Hasn't had utilities since 2011. It's been in a state of disrepair. We've had about 13 code violations here since 2014. We did send out a minimum maintenance letter in April of 21. Is there somebody here that's here to address this house? Okay. Yeah, would you like to address the council on that?
Give us your name and your address, ma'am, and just let us know what you've got to say.
Guthrie Robinson.
Excuse me?
Guthrie Robinson.
Robinson.
What else to say? The address 309 South Second Street.
I can't hear you, ma'am. I can't understand you.
Okay.
You can move the microphone down.
Guthrie Robinson, 309, I mean. 309 South Second. Okay.
She wants to fix this house back up, and she wants time to do it.
How long she had it?
I don't know how long she had it.
I've been here since 97.
So the electric is on in the house. The water's not on, but the electric is on in the house.
Bill, I thought you said the utilities were off.
The electric is on in the house.
No.
Electric is on?
Yes, it is.
How much, what time, what are you gonna do? I mean, what kind of time are we looking at?
But we gotta go in there, we gotta clean it out, and we want somebody to go in there. Her granddaughter is trying to fix it up for her.
But what's the time frame that you're?
3 months.
Probably 6
3 months?
months. 6. At least 6 months.
6 months?
Yeah.
I think that's a little bit more realistic.
What's your opinion, Bill, on, you've been in there,
Well, this whole process takes around 3 to 4 months to go through the entire process. So if they've made progress at those points when we're checking on these properties again before we go out to release bids on demolitions, then we'll know if we're well into this process or not at that point.
so to clarify, what he's saying is that you start working on the house, in the meantime, this process stands, and then what happens is, as he comes out and checks, and as long as you're working on the house, we're not gonna do anything to the house. But if we go out, if the process continues and nothing's being done to the house, then he's gonna take action on the house.
Even if you have put money into the house, even if you've been working on it, but you haven't really made much progress, he's still gonna go forward with this process. It doesn't stop because you're working on it.
Y'all have to tear it down, and if it needs to be torn down, why come we have to pay for y'all to tear it down when we can get somebody else to tear it down?
Yeah, well, you'd be given
Yeah, you
that
can do that too.
opportunity. If it came to that point and you said, look, we just can't do it,
Because if you tear it down, it's still her land.
yeah,
Yes.
no question.
Yes.
So you would be given that opportunity if you found out when you got in there that, hey, there's no way we're gonna be able to fix this, we need to tear it down, but I don't want the city to tear it down, we're gonna give you the opportunity to tear it down.
Okay.
If the city
We don't
tears it-
wanna tear it down.
If the city tears it down, there will be a lien against the property. Is that correct, Bill?
They'll have the opportunity to pay for the.
Right, but there will be initially a lien against the property.
Yeah, we don't wanna do that,
Okay.
so.
I just want to make sure she understands.
We just want it addressed.
And Bill will
One way
work
or
with
the
you.
other.
He'll work with you, if you're working on the house.
So how come they condemned it in the first place?
None of us want your house. We don't. We don't want to take your house from you. If you can fix it, we want you to.
Yeah,
But I would recommend you start on the outside, not on the inside.
Make it look good first and then get on the
Yeah.
inside and go to work.
Okay,
Okay?
but the electric is on in the house.
okay.
Make it, you know.
Well, like, we'll give you every opportunity, so,
Okay. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome.
Ta-da.
I think they all start the process.
On this next one.
So I think it's important to clarify that with the vote tonight, if you decide to declare a house dangerous and dilapidated, there will be a notice of dilapidation and lien placed on the property so that if someone's in the process of buying that house, they have the opportunity to be notified that that house has been declared dangerous and dilapidated.
Correct.
And that we have intent of tearing it down if it's not substantially remodeled or repaired.
And they'll come back to us like they have in the past.
Right.
Correct.
So,
Okay, the next property is 405 West Vilas. I show it hadn't had water or gas since 2011. I'm sorry,
That's East Vilas.
405 West Vilas, I'm sorry. Hadn't had water since 2014, gas 06. Couldn't confirm the electric. We did send out a minimum maintenance standard letter on this in '21, and the property owner did contact us. We just hadn't seen any plans or any movement on it. I believe they're here to discuss the property.
Yeah, that's our house, and when we first bought that house, we did renovate the side on the right.
You did, who are you?
Pardon me? Oh, Larry Ladd, I'm sorry. And I own 405 West Vilas. And so we went in, basically, and I've got pictures, I don't know the best way to show you guys. I'll let you pass them around. This is inside the right side, obviously. Sorry. Do I do that? Let me just make sure I give you more than just photos. That's okay, that's just my tax documents that aren't in here. Sorry about that. So we went in, and when we bought it, we painted that side of the house, finished the siding, put in new windows and doors, put in a kitchen, and had it rented. And then we had a renter that just kind of went bad, and it was a process getting them out. And by the time they got out, they'd messed around with the electric. And so to get it rented again, we had to have OG&E come out and put back on a meter base. So I think it was around July, we had a guy that came by and wanted to rent that right side. And so Michelle and I decided, let's go ahead and pay the $1,000 and get an electrician out there. So we hired Geiger Grider Electric to come out, and he came to pull a permit. And when they went and looked at the house, there was a couple wires on the side of the house sticking out. And I don't blame them. I would have been concerned too. But it wound up, it was an antiquated line. It wasn't hooked up. Joey came out and took a look at it and said that's not an issue. So, but they said they wanted a full house inspection. And so we rescheduled for the whole house inspection on the electric. And by then, they came out and said, actually, you got to put a roof on it. And this kind of went back and forth, and it was sort of my misunderstanding. We were talking two different languages. That's actually not a duplex, it's two houses on one lot, and because they're connected. And so they kept saying it needed a new roof, and I go, well, there's just a little bit of a bad spot. And so I was going to do like 50% of the roof, and they go, no, you need to do the whole roof. And we kind of went back and forth. And anyway, 6 trips to the city later, it was decided we couldn't get a permit to do the roof, that we needed to do a whole house plan. So I started talking to contractors, and I got some bids. And basically this process went from being a $1,000 project to a $3,000 project to a $30,000 project for a new roof to a $200,000 was my first bid on renovating the house. And I've gotten better.
What do you plan to do about this, Larry?
Well, and I'll get into that. So I wound up having to get private lenders, and so I've talked to them, and I've got 2 guys, both that want to do the deal. I've talked to 4 contractors. They all say it's fixable. And so I think it's viable, and I'd like to fix it. I did get better quotes, so it's a profitable thing to do. Again, we proved it on the one side. That's what you're seeing, not after we finished it. That's as it stands today. So the right side's good, and I think the left side, from all the professionals we had, they say it's fixable. So I'd like to fix it, and so, and I was working with the city on it, and As a matter of fact, I had a lender in place and a builder in place, and I called the builder. At that time, we were going to use Aaron. He's busy now from As the Crows Flies. But between then and Aaron calling me back, I got a notice that it was for demolition, so I called that lender just to let him know, and if it's under demolition, he didn't want to jump into that. And that's why I found these other two guys that are willing to do it, as long as I have a working arrangement with you guys, so.
Well, so like Bill said, what happens on this thing, no matter what we do, it's gonna get the stamp, it's gonna get the letter on the house. Right? Is that right, correct? Yeah. So I would go to what James said earlier on the women before, is I'd start working on the outside of this. We're not gonna come, we don't wanna tear this thing down. Okay, but, you know, I would put the investment on the outside to at least get it to where Bill's not coming by. He has no reason to go inside at that point. And so get the dilapidation side fixed. And then during the process, like he said, it's gonna take 4 or 5 months, 3, 4, 5 months, 6 months. And if there's significant progress being done, we're not gonna do nothing about it. And you can come back in here and prove that out to us even. They're not gonna come and do it without our stamp on demolishing these things. So that, you get the same as the women before. That's how we're gonna have to handle it.
Okay, so, just because, I think I'm good on this one, just because I've been able to talk to guys, and I actually am up for 2, but, you know, I'm also worried about other people here.
Yeah.
If they're stamped for demo, it's really hard to get a lender
I
to
know.
jump into bed. And just for clarity, because I hear what you're saying and I agree with that, and honestly, that's what the city's told me too, is, you know, forward motion. Unfortunately, about the time that we needed to do a roof and everything, we hit winter, and it's not the time to put a roof on a building. But we are at the right time now, and material costs have gotten to where it's affordable, and honestly, home prices have gone up. So we're in a really perfect time to fix up the houses, and we need rent houses, so this is really great. But I just want to make sure that I don't, you know, decide it, for example, first thing I do is kind of straighten it, check all the framing, and then side it, and then get the roof on. But at that point, I'm $40,000 into a house, and your statement scared me a little bit, where even if you dump money into it, you're not saying you're not going to tear it down. So I just wondered, is there some way, like, can we have like earmarks along that path of, or do we work with you on that?
On this house, we'd have a building permit, because we've discussed this before,
Yeah.
about the structural issues that are here. There's a lot more than just what the pictures show on these houses. But there's some structural elements that need to be addressed. It's not just throwing a roof on it to dry it in. It needs more work than that. So that would go into the permitting process. So once we have an acceptable set of plans, we would issue a permit. And at that point, you know, there would be inspections along the way and making sure that we're making progress.
But the letter of dilapidation still goes on the house, is what you're
Yes,
saying?
when y'all declare a house dangerous and dilapidated.
Larry, you can have one more comment, and I'm gonna have to set you down.
No,
We
you're
gotta-
fine. I'm just new to this whole process, and I mean, if it, you know, I thought we were pleading our case to make it not on a dilapidation list, which makes it a lot easier for us to talk to bankers.
Well, what
and
this
move
meeting's
forward.
about is to convince this council that the house is gonna get renovated, or you're gonna tear it down on your own, or we're gonna have to tear it down.
Okay, yeah. No,
Because there's
I would
already
love to
been a
renovate it.
process through Bill's department, and that's how this house ended up here. This is
We're
not new
already at that
news.
And if we take it off, then we have to start all over again, and we're not in for doing that, because taking it off, you've been through the process once and nothing's changed, so we're not interested in taking it off unless there's progress been made.
Okay, all right,
And
thank
if
you.
there's significant progress and permits, I'm sure at that
But now
point,
if
we
you-
can come in here and take it off.
If you fix the 2 boards on the right one that's fallen off, if you fix those and smear a little paint on them, that ain't working on it.
Right,
You know,
right,
It's
right.
gotta be making some headway.
Yeah, for sure. Okay.
Thank you, Larry.
Okay, thank you.
Next.
Next house is 406 East Vilas. We don't have any, no records of gas or electric. Water, the last time I had water was 1999. It's got some pretty severe foundation issues here. And is there anybody here for this house? Okay.
Sir, your name?
My name is Cyril Bonner, 919 North Ash, Guthrie, Oklahoma. Due to family illness, the house was kind of put on the back burner. We had mother and father sick, my brother sick, but we was planning on...
Everybody's been sick, haven't they?
Yeah. And we was planning on, as soon as the weather break, I was gonna go over there and start working, because I do carpentry work, so I can fix it pretty good. That's what I plan on doing. The house used to belong to an old doctor. My mother bought it, so kind of sentimental.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
You've heard what we've told the others.
I heard you.
Are you working on it? We'll
I'm
leave you
pursuing
alone.
it.
You fix it, we'll leave it alone. How's
Okay,
that?
the weather just broke, so I'm gonna get right on it.
Thanks for being here and talking to us.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I probably ought to say that. You guys got about 5 minutes to talk, and I gotta shut you down, so.
The next house is 410 South Second. I don't have any records of utilities here. We did issue a roofing permit on this in April of 2018. And I believe somebody's here for this house as well.
Hello, my name is Pablo Santos. I don't have much to say.
What's your address, Paul?
I'm working.
What's your address? Where do you live?
410 South 2nd Street, but I don't live there.
You
I'm working
live
in
on-
that house for
yeah.
so long. So what happens in the house, I got all the materials ready, but I got sick for a long time, so I haven't been doing anything in the house until probably next month. So I need about 6 to 8 months to address the house pretty nice.
Well, the same we've told the others. You heard, you understand
Yes.
that
Yes.
completely, right?
Yes.
So as long as there's progress being done, we're not going to do anything.
Okay. I'm not afraid for you to do anything with the house because, I mean, you don't fall in love with the house. But thank you for giving us the opportunity.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay.
Thanks for coming, Pablo.
The next house is 413 North Wentz. It suffered a structure fire July of 2020. It's got, you can see on that right picture, it's the floor joists on it are pretty charred up. It would need a significant amount of work in order to save the back part of that house. I think the owner's here for it.
The one, the only.
I'm Philip Blair. My wife Chris and I own this house. We bought it in 1995 and with friends brought it back to life. We moved to Edmond for a few years. My son was living here and on his watch, it had a fire. Quite frankly, the front half of this house is just fine. But as you can see, where the fire was, we've got to replace, starting with floor joists and a bunch of stuff like that. What we decided was we didn't have the cash to fix it up. So we have advertised it, and so far we've got 5 different parties who are interested in buying the house and fixing it up. So I assume what I will have to tell them is it's on the list with the council, and so as long, you know, they need to fix up the back first because the front of the house doesn't look like anything happened to it.
Let me tell you how that,
noticed it.
let me tell you how that works in my experience in this thing here, is that those buyers would come back to this council if they're gonna buy this thing and prove out that they're buying it, and then they'll put a whole new scenario together for us. Okay, that they're gonna
Sure.
buy the house, and then we can take action on that house and remove whatever dilapidation
Right.
feels on there.
I understand how it fits in the process.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, no problem with that.
But
Just
in the
want you-
meantime, it's gonna be on there, so if somebody's gonna buy it, they're gonna have to do it pretty quick,
That's our intention.
yeah. So,
Once the notice is attached to the property, they'll have to come in and get permits to get it fixed.
that,
Sure.
exactly,
So they'll have to work pretty fast if they do purchase the property.
yeah.
As I said, the first thing they'll have to do is put the floor joist in the back, which is at the ceiling for the basement. And then put floor in there, and then they can fix the back so that it looks like it's all enclosed. And
Well, then Bill will work with them on it, as long as they're getting the permits and they're
Right.
working on the house, we're not gonna do nothing about it.
I've worked with Bill since 1997, so
Yeah.
no problem.
Wow,
Understand
you've
that.
been here forever.
Any questions, gentlemen?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir. Next, Bill, what we got next?
.508 South Second Street, hasn't had water or electric since 2012. This property did have a mortgage holder, and so we notified both owner and property owner on this one.
The mortgage holder?
Yes. Is somebody here wanting to speak about this house? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
Get going, Bill.
Yeah, my name is Gene Hardeman, and we own the property at 508 South Second Street. And we are in the process of fixing the property. We need like 6 months, and we'll get the property up to par. And I've already contacted the lien holder on it already. So we've talked, and we're in the process of getting it fixed.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Now, we don't give 6 months to talk about it. Give 6 months to
Well, you've
show it.
heard what we've told everyone else.
You get 5 minutes to talk about it.
Yeah. So, but let's be real clear on that. If you need building permits and if he needs plans or whatever, that all needs to start happening.
I understand.
Okay.
I understand.
Next house is 603 East Grant. Last time I had water was in 2014. Electric was 2018. We've had about 17 code violations here since 2011. We did send a minimum maintenance standard letter out on this in May of 2020. Is there somebody here? Oh, there you go.
I own it. I don't own it anymore. The lady that bought it for me is right here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we notified both of them.
Hi, my name is Mariana Ontiveros. I bought this house a month ago. I'm working on it. And, I mean, that's all I can say. I just need some time to fix it.
All right.
Yeah, I already got a
clean up the yard.
plumber there, I already got some trash out of there. I mean, I'm working on it already.
Okay, get it done.
I will, watch
That's
it.
all, that's all we have.
All right, well, thank you.
Thank you.
This is 723 East Perkins. It did have utilities recently as 2020. We did notify the property owners that they needed to get permits for the work that was being performed on the property in June of 2020. And we still don't have plans or permits issued on this house.
Since when? For 6 of 20, 2 years
Yeah,
almost?
June of 2020. Yeah. There's somebody here for 723? Okay.
My name's David Henryan, and I own the property. We live in Crescent, and we started the process. We bought this with my son, so he was going to live in here with his family. Excuse me. Then COVID hit, and financial issues, and whatever. Anyway, all that's been rectified, and we were. The plan was just to start back in this, basically start all over again, really, but start back this spring, working on this thing, and hopefully have it done by the end of the year for him. But from what I'm listening to you guys, my wife wants, she's working on the inside, but it sounds like we need to work on the outside, get the outside squared away, and I guess start with that first.
Well, yeah, because if the outside was squared away, it would have never come under the radar and it wouldn't be here.
Yeah, and I'm not a house flipper. I'm not so I don't really understand the whole process. I kind of learn it as I go here. We did get the foundation squared away. We went in. We basically ripped out the whole inside because it was trashed, really. And my daughter lives like 3 blocks from this house, so they kind of keep an eye on it and mow the yard and stuff like that. But our plan was to start back. Well, since the weather's starting to get nicer, so we're get back at it.
Well, you've heard what we've.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have some time to start.
Yeah.
I would start by getting the permits.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, is we were in the process of doing that, and then and I won't blame everything on COVID, but that just really screwed everything up.
Wow.
And so now we're back basically at square one. So I need to touch base with them and figure out, because I basically forgot what the heck I need to,
We'll get with Bill and he'll lay it all out.
So that's the plan. So.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, sir.
The next property is 805 East Lincoln. We don't have any records of utilities at this house. Well, it's been so old that there's no records at the utilities. So I do understand that this property is in probate, and there may be a person here to speak about it.
I'm not the owner of it, but the owner just flew down from Minnesota to see us. We're not going to change a flight because she's going to be a little late. So, special call right here.
Hello.
Hi.
My name is Lynette Mac Ali. My address is 12225 17th Avenue South, Burnsville, Minnesota, 55337. Oh, I'm here on behalf of my dad, Vernon L. Mack. He owns, my grandparents own this house. I think David Hood talked to you guys. Did he call you guys?
He talked to me about
okay.
being probate.
Okay, so my dad wants to sell both houses.
Is this two houses here?
Well, it's the 923 East Lincoln, and then it's the 805.
Oh, we're not,
And
okay.
it's just 805 that's on this year.
Well, he wants to sell it. He doesn't want to fix it up or do anything. He wants to get rid of it.
Okay. So is he in the process of doing that?
Well, like I said, I speak on his behalf. I have power of attorney and guardianship over him and all of his property, so I'm willing to sell it.
Yeah, you're gonna
Yes.
sell it.
What's the other address?
923
Yes,
East
that's
Lincoln.
not on the list.
But he wants to sell that too.
What did David say? Does he know the
He said if
timeframe?
it was under probate and that.
Yeah, it's under probate.
His daughter would be here probably to the meeting.
Probate can take 6 months, a year. I mean, who knows? Did he give any inclination of what the time frame was looking like?
They're in the middle of the process, is how he indicated to me.
So can this still go up on the block that you've got it on, being under probate?
It can still sell. I mean, if you declare it dangerous and dilapidated, it'll have the notice attached to the property. And, I mean, there's nothing to say it can't sell. But, I mean, I don't know. As far as time frame, there's nothing gonna be done. I mean.
Is there anything to stop us from tearing it down, and that, if our timeframe to tear it down comes before she gets the probate finished, are we gonna tear it down?
Not before probate gets
I'm
finished.
just asking the question so you can answer it.
Before she sells it. There's a difference.
But, okay, excuse me,
Either way,
but I'm not going to let you guys tear it down.
thank you. Thank you, thank you. We don't want to tear it down.
That's why I'm
That
here.
wasn't what I was trying to
Okay,
say.
I'm not gonna let you tear it
I was
down.
just trying to ask Bill to clarify that.
Okay, I'm not gonna let you tear it down.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so if it's declared dangerous and dilapidated tonight, we need to see either some significant progress on the property or does it have the structure removed from the property? And
Okay, let me explain something to you guys. My dad had a stroke. He lives in Minnesota with me, okay? So I have power of attorney and guardianship, so I'm here to speak on his behalf, okay? Our atter-
This house has already gone on the list as the issue.
Yeah, okay.
but
When you
I don't-
guys put the notice on the house, nobody called me and told me about it. This is why I'm here. I live in Minnesota. I
understand
don't
that.
live here.
I understand.
Okay.
How'd you find out about this?
My cousin called me and told me about it.
How long ago, why don't you explain again to us on this particular house? How long ago did all this take place?
the notices were sent out February 8th. They were mailed to the property owner of record, who I understand is deceased.
Okay, that's my dad, but he's been in Minnesota
Yeah.
since June.
And then we also post the properties in case the property owner of record does not get the mail, and they can be notified by the post.
Okay,
So the mail didn't get
but
to
I
Minnesota is
changed my
what you're
dad's
saying?
address, so the mail should have came to Minnesota.
I would have to look
Yeah.
and see where the letter went to.
It must have went to 923, but he hasn't been there since April.
Well, we wouldn't know about
Would it not
923
be a
because that's
registered-
not on
it's
the list.
Yeah, but 923 was his residence.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
It is, it's registered.
A certified
Right.
letter. Is it registered or certified?
It's not certified, it's registered.
Registered, okay. So you don't know if it made it to, oh, okay.
Right.
In view of the fact that the letter didn't get to the person that owns it, then I think we have no choice but to.
No, it's their responsibility to change their address of record.
Right.
You follow the legal process.
All right, ma'am, thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
We'll do everything we can to work with you.
Okay, well, my phone number, address, and everything is on record, so if y'all have any other problems, you can call me. I work every day, but you can call me.
Well, you need to keep in touch with
Stay in
Bill,
touch with
though.
that guy right there.
Okay, well, if he give me his phone number, we can talk.
He'll do that.
Bill, you got a card?
You have to excuse me, I have a flight to catch.
The letter would have been sent to 12225 17th Avenue, Burnsville, Minnesota. Yeah.
All right, call the next one.
All right, Bill. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you.
The next house is 903 East Vilas. Last time I had water was in 1997. Didn't have any other records of utilities. The property owner is here. They have already submitted for a demo permit, and we are waiting on the release from our water department on that. We've already got gas and electric, so they've expressed interest in tearing it down themselves.
Perfect.
That's,
Do you want to say anything else?
I guess 6 months is the timeframe that you guys are giving for demo?
well,
Yes, significant progress. I would say more like 3 months on tearing it down and having it removed.
All right.
Okay.
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next house is 923 West Logan. Last time it had electric and water was 2010. We've had about 21 code cases on this house since 2011, or this property, whether they were property violations or, is there somebody here for this one? Oh, Mr. Rake's here.
My name's Vincent Rake. I live at 923 West Mansard. This house belongs to my wife. In 2011, she was not living here. She was living in Texas with me. We didn't get up here till about 2017 or 18, We got notices about things for the house that were put in the mailbox, but she was in Texas. We didn't get them. Somebody called and told us about the notices, so we came up to check them. At that time, it was, I think Mr. Fish was the code enforcer. So we fixed what he said had to be fixed, and there was nobody living in it. Everything was, we shut everything, had everything turned off on it. Well, then I guess one of the ice storms came in and took the tree out, and it came down on the power line. Took the power line off at the pole, not the house. Everything at the house is good. Okay? We chose not to put utilities back in there to keep people from going in the house, because we boarded them up. You can see some of the windows are boarded. The ones that aren't boarded, they busted or pulled the boards off of them and broke the windows. Well, we got everything in the house to repair that house. For the outside, I got new windows, new doors, everything, siding, everything to go in the house. But it's just me. I just recently got out of the hospital. I've been having heart attacks for over a year, and I just had one that just about took me out this time. But we are working, want to work on it and bring it back up. My wife's father bought that house for her before he passed away. So I don't want to see her lose it.
Well, so you've heard what we've mentioned to the other
Yes, sir.
people, and as long as you've got significant progress happening, we're not going to do anything.
I've
If
been up
nothing's
talking to
happening, it's going to get tore down.
I understand that.
So,
Yeah, I've been up.
and hopefully you can just, 'cause it's getting nice out, you'll be able to
Oh,
make
yeah.
significant progress.
Well, see, I put a pole in the back. There's a light pole in the backyard because I was wanting to get power. OG&E told me that I could put a pole in the ground, and then I would have to have the code enforcer come and inspect it. But they didn't tell me that a licensed electrician had to come out and inspect it, and then pull the permit, and then had the code enforcer come out. They didn't tell me that.
Yeah, I don't know about that.
So I put all the poles and everything in the ground, but I've been up talking with him about it.
Well, work with Bill on it, and if there's significant progress, we're not going to do anything, we're not going to touch it.
Okay, I've got everything in the house to fix the whole outside and everything, you know, so it don't look like it does now.
All right.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate you.
Sir, appreciate your time.
The next one is 1012 West Washington. This had utilities up till recently, and when I first seen it, I thought it had had a fire, but the owner made contact with us and told us that that was a tree branch that had fell and broke some of the rafters in the roof structure. And anyways, he's already got a permit to fix this and knows about the inspection process that's involved as far as repairing the house to where it's back to a habitable structure. You want to get up?
My name's Jeff Rhodes. I own 1020 West, no, 1012. Used to own 1020.
Jeff Rhodes?
Yes.
Thank you.
I got this house back in '90 off taxes. It's been renovated. The back half is brand new, pretty much about in that time length. I built the, had rotten wood. We went through the house, redone it, and our plans with it is to let my youngest daughter back here move into it after it's finished. Right now it's set in all rafters are fixed. I have permits and working with Bill, I believe his name is. And so it's got plywood dried in, but we just had that freeze, so I was trying to hope making it to the first, but it didn't get there. So that's what our plans are, get my daughter in it.
Cool.
All right. And there's never been no mowing fees or nothing on this property.
And I can attest to what he's telling you. I went by there myself, because I know Jeff, and the roof is fixed now. His son lives directly next door to it, and his daughter owns property on the other side of it, so, he's a good citizen to take care of his properties.
So it sounds like significant progress is being made.
Yes, sir, and it will continue.
There you go.
Thank you.
I've done that whole north side of that block started in 95 on 1020.
That's before I was born.
Yeah.
She's the one that, when she was 5 years old, helped me stick down the sticky floor in the kitchen in that house, so.
There you go.
She has memories in that house as well.
The next house is 1115 East Springer. We've already been contacted by a demolition company that's has intent of removing this structure. As you see, it's got a
By the owner?
No, by the demolition company. They've already applied. We don't have any releases from the utilities yet, but they're in the process.
Let's go up here.
No?
So the owners are,
Okay, my thing is this. and
Come talk to us, come talk to us.
Yes, because you're talking about there's already been a release from a demolition company. How? We just got, because I happen to be rolling up to my house, I live, okay, that's actually 1120.
Ma'am, hang on,
okay.
could you give us your name and
My
address?
name is Erica Bird Thompson. I am
Erica what?
Bird Thompson. Bird, let's just go with Erica Bird.
Okay.
I got a hyphenated last name, but the actual address of that structure is 1123 East Springer, because the house next door is 1115, which is where I live. That property was owned by my grandparents, so there's several different heirs to it. It's still in my grandparents' name. I happened to be coming up to my house when I saw the posting on the door, on the door of that property. And then maybe days later, I got an actual notice, but I know nothing about a demolition company ready to knock it down. This is the first I'm hearing of this.
what do you want to do with this?
My name is Wanda Parks. My daddy built that house. She hadn't heard anything about it. I grew up there.
And I grew up there.
Henry S. Parks is his name. He raised 7 children. He built that house.
What do y'all want
He
to
built
do?
the house next door. We want to renovate it.
There you go.
My brother lives in Arkansas, and he has always planned to do that. There are several generations of us. We come here to Guthrie, our home, every year for reunion, and we want that house.
Yeah, and like I said, that whole demolition thing, I never heard anything about that, about some demolition company trying to put in to knock it down.
Why is there a demo, why is that? Is that like from last year?
Absolutely had a company come in and ask for a permit to pull the demo permits. It's for the owners, Henry and Ida Parks. Is that correct?
Okay, they're deceased.
Okay,
And you said nothing to
the
us?
letter would have went to 1115 East Springer.
Didn't get, okay.
So that's and you're saying that's the house next door?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
That's our property.
The letter that came to the house is the same thing that's posted on the door, that y'all posted on the door. I got that posting later. I got the same letter later. But I thought I had some time. Nobody said, hey, the notice just said come to this meeting. It didn't say nothing about, we're gonna knock it down. We already have somebody lined up to knock it down.
Okay.
Yeah, we were given
Do
no
you know
notice
the
about
people who
knocking
live
down.
next door to the house?
I do.
She does.
That's me.
Oh, okay.
Daddy built that house, and he built the one next
Yeah, my
door.
grandfather built it.
My
And
daddy
he had
did.
the house that I live in built.
We can do the family reunion somewhere else. Can we move forward?
Well, the thing is,
No,
the
couldn't
thing
have.
is, though, where this whole demolition company.
Well, ma'am, let me jump in real quick. I
Yeah,
think where this
that's
is.
just
I think
part of the process. That's
Where
just
this
part
has
of the
come in from is because the owners are deceased, okay? And that's what Bill was seeing, is that the owners were deceased, so there's nobody here, and that's what that was for. And so he posted it, and now you're here. So you have the same amount of time as everybody else that we've discussed in this meeting to start making significant progress on his house so that it doesn't get tore down. Or
Bill,
that you don't have to tear it
Is her
down.
house further along than anybody else's in terms of being torn down?
No.
They're all in the same
All right,
process.
thank you. That's what she needs to do. That's what she needed to
Yeah,
hear.
that's what I need to know.
Yeah.
That's what she needed to hear.
On that other end.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
It's not like, Nobody said anything to me about demolition, right? Yeah.
Fix your house, we want you to.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about that.
We want
As
you to
long as
have your
significant progress is made, nothing's gonna happen.
Okay.
Okay, and what is this significant progress about the outside?
Yeah, he'll show you, he'll tell you all about it.
Thank you, Dan.
He can tell me about it. significant. All right, okay.
Thank y'all for coming.
That took me way.
The next house is
You don't get him say tonight.
it's 1123 East Vilas is the next property. Mr. Roper's made contact with us. This house actually has utilities. I believe he's here to speak for the property here. Okay.
Well, let's hear it.
Now, my wife couldn't be here tonight because she had back surgeries and knee surgeries, and so she can't stand or sit and get
Your
up the
name?
stairs. So my name is Ralph Roper, and that's at 1123 East Vilas.
What's your plan?
Pardon?
What's your plan?
My plan is that two-story part, I started on that probably about 20 years ago of building it. That two-story part, I'm going to tear off. I'd already started and put the fence up and everything before I even got the letter. But I got sidetracked with another property I had to get straightened out of my dad's, and so I couldn't stay on it, and then the weather.
So you're gonna rip this thing down and make it habitable?
Yes, I'm gonna just tear the two-story part out. The other part's good, but the other part is fully furnished. I still have gas, I still have water. I would have electricity if the storm hadn't came a couple of years ago and broke down my line. They put the line back, but I'm gonna have to put in a new meter base. So my plans is to tear it down, and I'd already started, but I have to clean up all around it so I can have a place to put my lumber.
Fantastic.
Because lumber is high now, and I'm gonna rebuild that bottom part down there on the.
So start getting your permits from Bill and start showing us significant progress, and he won't do anything.
No problem.
Thanks, sir.
All right, thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
The next property is 1207 East Harrison. I showed the last time it had electric was 2009. Water was 2004. I don't know if there's anybody, is there anybody here for this house? They did make contact before the meeting, and they acted like they wouldn't be here, so indicated that they wouldn't be here anyways.
Can't do nothing about that then.
1214 West College. Last time it had electric was 2017. I don't show any other records on this house. And you're here. All right.
There you go.
My name's Janet Evans. My address is 528 West Lake Road. Our son owns the house. We would like at least 6 months to get it running. We received the letter. It came to our home.
I never got no letter on the door.
Yeah.
You're the son?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
I'm sorry, Robert
My name's Robert
Evans.
Evans.
Okay.
I'm 1214 West College, and there was no letter on the door. I have not seen no letter.
Yeah, but we received a letter mailed to our home, and so that's what we're doing. And would like 6 months to get it up. We've started getting the supplies to do a new roof, and it has not had utilities, but we did not realize that he needed utilities for him to be worked. Yes.
Well,
because we
Well,
take
you
it.
realize you're in a hurry at this point,
Yes,
so that roof needs to get on there quick.
yes, we've already, we've already bought some shingles and bought some wood, so.
Bill, from what I understand, talking to Jeff, it's, a hole in the roof is an automatic flag, right?
Right,
And that's probably what got you mainly, more than anything.
Yeah, I'm a tree falling over.
Yeah, when the,
And it
from,
happens, yeah.
yes, but we would like 6 months to get it up and
Well,
going.
they said they use the same as everybody.
I know, but I'm just
Well,
saying.
but it's about that time frame anyway, and as long as you guys are working on it, and, as long as we don't just see the one little hole patched and,
No,
you know, there's
no.
all kinds of other stuff going on it, he's not gonna act on it.
Okay.
We don't want, the last thing we wanna do is get involved in tearing anything down.
Right, and I will get with him, because
Yeah,
I don't know what kind of permits we'll need.
yeah,
but-
he'll go through all that
Yeah.
with you, and he'll get it handled for
Okay.
you. But
That's
yeah,
all.
we're on your side on this deal. We don't
He
want to do
closed
anything.
up where water can't get in and stuff like that, and people can't either, and he's probably gonna back off quite a bit.
But I would start working on the outside before you did
Yes.
anything on the inside.
Right, and roof is the first thing on the
There you go.
agenda to get.
Perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next house is 1301 East Vilas.
What? Oh.
1301 East Vilas. Last time it had utilities was in 2017. Of course, it's got holes in the roof and needs some significant repair. I don't think we have anybody here for this house. It is owned by a management company, a property management company.
And they're
So
aware of what's going on.
They are. They did make contact.
Do they want to tear it down, or do they want us to tear it down?
We're not managing it very well.
On this 1301 East Vilas, when you talked to them, did they act like they wanted to fix it up or tear it down?
I believe we were playing phone tag for about.
Okay, so we haven't talked to them.
Just do your
Yeah.
process and do what you got to do.
Yes. Next house is 1610 West Manser. It looks like last time it had water was in 2000. He's still here.
It's really bad.
Okay. Owner's here to talk about the property.
It looks like you got two of them going on.
Yeah,
now. Come
lucky
on,
winner.
Larry.
Larry Ladd, 1610 West Manser. Don't be afraid. I understand how this works now. I would like to fix it.
Then you know what the process is.
So unless you have questions,
all you got to do is get it done.
Yes.
All right, be good.
Next house is 1615 West Manser. Last time I had electric was in June of '21, so not too long ago. Water was July of 2020. It's just been abandoned. There's lots of debris around the yard. We've had 18 code cases on this house since 2012. Is there somebody here for this one? Okay.
Follow your process.
Were there like open, I wasn't seeing, I guess, were there
Yeah,
open
there's-
windows or something, or doors, or?
Yeah, busted windows.
Okay.
Some foundation issues in the back.
You just got the process going, so
Yeah,
do what
it's
you do.
wide open, so it's a nunuisance.
And on that one specifically, at one point I had sent out unsecured structure notice as well. Still received nothing.
Yeah, just do your deal on it, and we move forward on it. What's the deal with this one?
The last house is 1811 East Springer. It has had utilities up till recently. I'd say December of '21 for the water. Electric's still current on this house. We've had a lot of code cases here. They started back in 2018. Started out with just an RV in the backyard with people living in the RV.
Didn't have goats in the backyard at one time,
Oh,
did they?
huh?
They didn't have goats in the backyard at one time?
No, it was a different house. But,
So what's the dilapidation here?
well, the house is in disrepair. You know, the eaves have openings on the eaves. It's been without utilities several times over the last few years. It's more of a nuisance because it became more of a kind of a flop house, so to speak. At any given time, we'd come up and do a code inspection on this. There'd be people living in the garage,
Is the
the
owner here?
outbuildings. Somebody here to speak about this? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about it.
Hi, my name is Brian Hall, and I recently purchased 1811 East Springer on February 11th. On February 15th, we had a dumpster delivered, and I had to file for eviction on the property and have court on Friday. We're gonna fix it up. We already got the RV, the camper, the car, most of the trash all picked up already, so.
Go for it.
So you know the deal, as long as they're significant.
We're already on it.
Yeah, so we don't want to do anything to it.
Okay, yeah, I mean, I would prefer not to have it dilapidated, because it actually is not dilapidated. Everything is in good condition, and we're gonna be fixing it up to flip. We're already working with a realtor.
But this happened prior to you buying it.
Yes, sir,
And
yeah.
so it can't come off the list, it's the legal process.
Oh, really? Okay.
But we won't do anything as long as you're making progress.
Yeah, you can drive by there and it's already going, so.
Yeah, so there's not gonna be a worry, no worry there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, ma'am.
I didn't realize that it had been purchased, so I will say that the last time we went there, it looked significantly better.
There you go.
As soon as it's a habitable structure, we'll release the notice of dilapidation and
Did you
lien.
hear that?
Yeah, we would've had another dumpster there and had the whole yard completely picked up, but last week they.
But he said as soon as he knows it's habitable, he'll release the
Okay.
the deal on it.
Okay. All right, sounds good.
Thanks, ma'am.
Okay. That's it.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, Bill.
Thank you, guys.
We now move on to item number 4, discussion of possible action to approve resolution 2209 declaring certain structures dilapidated and dangerous.
So moved.
Second.
Make the place of votes.
Roll in.
Votes unanimous? Yes. All right, item number 5, discussion of possible action to approve execution of the project funding agreement for the Guthrie Downtown Streetscape Project TAP 3-2986-0004 TP. Leroy?
Commissioner Bothroyd, can I speak now?
Yes, you may.
Oh, right.
Just sit there, you don't need to stand up.
The last time
Never
this
knew you for humor.
He's a good humorist.
The last time this was before you, you had requested that we submit an option to use stamped concrete.
Yes.
SHPO has denied that, the State Historic Preservation Office. So at this point, our only opportunity to move forward is to use the standard broom concrete finish. But we will have ADA compliant sidewalks in this section, which would be the alley north of Oklahoma to the alley north of Harrison on Division. That's really our only option if we want to do the project. We're getting close to having SHPO's final approval. And what this will do tonight is go ahead and approve the funding agreement, and at the appropriate time, when it gets close to putting the project out for bids, then we will deposit our share of the project, $169,000 with the state, and that has to be done before they put it out for bids.
So they won't approve stamped concrete, but they will broom concrete.
Correct.
I'm gonna move to approve.
Second.
Motion's been moved and seconded. Any discussion? All vote? Motion's approved. Item number 6, discussion possible action on resolution 2022-13 to authorize the submission of a T-Mobile Hometown Grant Program application.
All right, hello.
Name and address?
I feel like the stressful part of the meeting is over, so this one should be more fun.
Good.
Okay, so I am currently working on the submission of a T-Mobile Hometown Grant Program. This is focused on public space improvements. So I talked about this a little bit before with you guys, but T-Mobile has committed up to $25 million over the next 5 years to support small towns across America. That's all for building or rebuilding or refreshing community spaces. It's for towns with populations less than 50,000. Recipients are selected and awarded on a quarterly basis, so we can reapply anytime, and it's over the next 5 years. So there's lots of opportunity with this grant, and it's up to $50,000.
And you're actually doing the grant.
Yes. This grant isn't quite as extensive as a lot of the more official, you know, through federal government, this,
Right.
it's a lot easier, and I can just kind of make it nice looking, and yeah, it's not as difficult, so. So my idea for this grant is a pop-up shop court in downtown Guthrie. This is the lot that Wanderfolk Spirit owns on Oklahoma Avenue. As you can see, we want to turn it into a community space that also serves as a retail incubator. So the structures themselves can serve as a small space for independent retailers, artists, or craftsmen to sell goods. They would primarily be made of wood or vinyl siding. They would have French doors, windows, and we would want them to be portable. As far as the design elements, you can kind of see an overhead layout here where the picnic tables and the structures themselves would be laid out. Since this property is owned by Wanderfolk Spirits, we would want it to match what they currently have in the outdoor space of Mackinacs. So same gravel surface, same fence, trees, and things like that. We would also have raised garden beds just to add to the aesthetic of the project, and of course picnic tables, lamp posts. We want it to be a community space that people can get food and hang out, and just adds to the beautification of downtown. So as far as the grant details, the submission deadline is the end of March. We would be notified if we won within 30 to 60 days. For the cost estimates, the structures themselves obviously are the most significant part. They're going to be roughly $17,500. And with in-kind labor installing the entire project, the total would be about $31,000. But as far as what we would be applying for the actual grant, it would be closer to $27,000. But these are estimates, these are just approximate, and that's subject to change through more planning and designing as we go along.
And who owns this space where we're talking about?
Wanderfolk Spirits. The same guys who own Mackinacs, what was Prairie Wolf Spirits, yeah.
Was that a Prairie Wolf?
Yep.
And point out, this is a work in progress. We are in discussions with the property owner to do a 5-year lease. We don't want to make the improvements and then,
Yeah, that's what I was
so subject to that being worked out, if for some reason we can't work that lease out, then we will try to find an alternate site. We really like this site. We think it's good for this project. So there are some details to still be worked out on this project before it's submitted on March, but there is no match requirement. It's 100%.
A motion to approve.
Second. Motion been made and seconded. Any discussion? Please vote. Votes are in. Unanimous. Thank you.
All right.
You're going to do the next one too?
Yes.
Discussion and possible action on resolution 2022-14 to authorize submission of an AARP Community Challenge Grant application.
All right, so this is the AARP Community Challenge Grant. This is also for public space improvements. So this is small grants to fund quick action projects just to help the communities become more livable for people of all ages. A lot of AARP focus is towards the elderly community, people aged 50 and up, but it's for creating vibrant public places. I see you giggling. Hey, that is their verbiage, not mine. Okay. So the most money that has ever been awarded through these grants is about $50,000, but in speaking with our state AARP reps, a more reasonable award ceiling is about $30,000. These are usually pretty small grants. So what I would like to do with this grant is improvements to Highland Park. We want to make it more age-friendly, and we want to attract more families. This has been one of our last parks to receive funding for playground equipment and things like that, and I would really like to get, the team at the City of Guthrie would really like to get this park looking nicer. So,
yeah, I would agree to that.
The first option for this grant, which I would like all of your help deciding on, our current swings are featured here on the left. The proposed improvements that we have is an arch swing, a friendship swing, and 2 toddler swings, and then a turf play surface. So that would replace the current swings that are kind of outdated and not quite as nice as we would like them to be. And then our second option would be adding in a gazebo like what we have over at Mineral Wells. We don't have any gazebos like this at Highland Park right now. We have the one flat rectangular one with some picnic tables under it, but this would be,
So this would be in lieu of the swings?
yeah, it's either or, yeah.
Yeah.
It's either fixing the swings or adding in a gazebo.
The swings exceeds the amount of money that we could probably do this, and that's why we put the other alternate to do the gazebo. We've found in many communities, the more shelters and park gazebos you have, the more people use the park, the more they get out and have picnics and gatherings. So it fits more the budget of this. If you wanted to do the swing sets, we're probably going to have to do a 50-50. There's not a match required, but they'll probably only fund about half that project.
Gazebo it is then.
Yeah.
The swings have been there for
We can
30,
figure a
40
way to do
years.
the swings at another time.
Correct.
Yeah, so either way, I think we would be able to spin this to, you know, be community space improvements, you know, making it more age-friendly either way. But with the swing sets, our project total is about $56,000. So I think we can reasonably expect the grant to maybe cover the cost of, you know, the swings and the installation, but I think the city would end up having to cover the rest. And then, of course, with the gazebo, I think it's more reasonable to expect that that the grant would be able to cover the whole project.
Just turn it all in, maybe they'll mess up, right, Chair?
I mean,
So
we
we'll
can
move
see.
to approve.
Well, just don't put
Okay.
option 2.
Second.
We don't
Gazebo.
have to pick an option. Do we?
No, it's just to proceed with the.
Proceed
looking
with
into
the-
it online, right?
Grant.
Is that right?
Correct, but we will probably, because of the limited amount of potential funding we get, we will probably submit the gazebo option.
Fine, but that doesn't need to be
No,
motioned?
no, as long as we're all on the same
Yeah,
page.
okay. Good deal.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made and seconded. Any discussion? Place your bets.
No, sorry.
See what you did there.
I made the motion and then I hit no.
Thanks, Sheldon.
So it was a yes.
Okay.
All right.
You voted no.
Leroy, do you have a city manager's report?
That's why I was saying you weren't allowed to
It's
talk.
47 pages, too.
I know.
That's next time.
Sit here.
Yeah, that's next month.
Grant writing, of course, grants provide additional funding that doesn't have to be repaid. It increases awareness and recognition of our community. Everybody likes a winner when you got a lot of projects going on, but also it builds teamwork between staff and community partners, working with partners in the community on various projects. And it empowers staff to develop professionally and to perform to high standards. As we've done these grants over the last 2 or 3 years, various department heads have taken the lead on these grants, so we're building capacity, administrative capacity, as they experience how to put together the grant applications and to administer the grants. And almost all our department heads have had an opportunity to take the lead on a grant, and then the whole team supports them. I would point out, we do try to be self-reliant to the degree possible and 100% fund our projects when we can. We spent $300,000 of the CIP sales tax on upgrading the tennis courts we have in our community and added a basketball court in Mineral Wells Park. We set aside funding each year out of the CIP sales tax and out of the user fee to generate money to do road projects. We have funded through a combination of the CIP sales tax and wastewater revenue, a $20 million wastewater treatment plant project, and then also out of the 3/4 sales tax, we 100% funded Banner Park. So we do a lot of projects without grants, but also we have a lot of critical infrastructure that we've talked about that's beyond our local financial capacity. And so there is a lot of federal money out there right now under the American Rescue Plan Act. Of course, the Economic Development Administration has $3 billion of supplemental funding in addition to the regular program. There's been money set aside for Amtrak. Under the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, there's $110 billion set aside for roads, and two programs under that. One of them is called a RAISE grant that I'll talk a little bit about in a minute for road projects. And then last Friday, we found out about an airport terminal program that is a $5 billion fund, and they'll award $1 billion of it each year. We have been successful with grant applications administration. This is just some of the examples of grants that we've used at Winter Wells Park. 50-50 grant, half of it is paid for with a grant of the Water Conservation Fund. We've used USDA money to buy 2 ambulances. We used USDA money to buy a Pierce fire pumper. And then we also used a USDA grant to buy a street sweeper. So far, in the last 30 months to 3 years, these are the various grants that we've gotten. Land and Water Conservation Fund, of course, the big one that we're still waiting on release of funds is the $1 million we got that we're matching $1 million to do 3 new softballs at Owen Field. But we've gotten just over $1.4 million out of Land and Water Conservation Fund. We've got $900,000 from the Community Development Block Grant Program. 2 of those are funding water improvement projects, replacing water lines and valves, and the other one is replacing HVAC equipment on 7 buildings and replacing windows. No match, that was 100% grant. Under USDA, we talked about the ambulance, the fire truck, and the street sweeper, $485,000 in grants. Workforce development, working with the Chamber, Meridian Tech, and the city collaboratively, we got $100,000 for a film crew institute at the new Career Tech division. So in total, we have, and we've gotten several small grants, we're over $3 million in grants. And then the other funds, if you look at this grant funds, out of that 6.8 million is paying almost 43% of that project. We've used CARES Act, we've used our ARPA money that come to us as small cities. We've used money from the EMS district, and we used FEMA reimbursement for some of Tenny's equipment. But out of that 6.8 million, only 28% of it, 7% come out of general fire or public works authority fund, and 21% comes out of the CIP sales tax, and most of that is going towards the softball fields. So out of that almost 7 million, we only used 28% of local funds, and the rest of it had been from other sources. So I think we've had some good successes. We do have some pending projects. We've applied for a soundstage in Industrial Park. Unfortunately, I found out late this afternoon, our soundstage did not get funded in the ARPA funds through the Economic Development Administration. But there will be another round of applications that we can resubmit it under the regular program, and we will be visiting with them to see what our opportunities are to enhance our application to try to get it funded under that program. Water distribution, we've applied for money through the state ARPA program on a 50-50 match. My understanding in talking to Senator Hall that's on that committee, the way they may do that is right now there is a program under OWRB where you get a loan and they forgive 25% of it. Well, they may take the ARPA money, put that with it, and you get 75% forgiveness. So that'll even be better than a 50-50 because we'll get
25%?
But this will 25% written off. We talked about the Trails Grant and the TSAC grant at our last meeting. Shonda just presented the AARP and T-Mobile, and I will talk in just a minute about 19th and Sooner Road and the airport terminal and the two grants we're looking at there. Hit the wrong button. Just wanted to highlight, we finished up the application for the Recreation Trails Program grant under the OTRD, and it will start at 5th Street, and there'll be some parking spaces there, and it will meander through this wooded area, which is basically Cleveland's old right-of-way, and then come to a pedestrian crossing bridge and go down to just where Noble Park used to be, and that green is Noble Park. And in future phrases in blue is other projects that we would like to apply for. The pavilion is still there, and we're showing, as we learn, different sites where historic structures used to be. One thing I would point out, when we presented this to you, we originally had this segment from 5th Street over to the bridge as part of the TSAC grant. We felt that it would be more complete and more competitive if we included this segment along with this segment for the RTP grant. So what we decided to do is this segment will be in both grant applications. That's why this numbers look a little different than what we presented to you the other night. If both grants get funded, then we'll do a project amendment to take it out of one project or some kind of adjustment. So the grant we submitted, the cash expenditures is $396,400. The grant would be $300,000. Our cash match would be $96,000, and we will build a lot of the trails just like we did in Banner and Mineral Wells. So our in-kind labor and equipment will be $336,000 for a total project of $732,000. We submitted that application yesterday. Some of the amenities that will be on the trail, of course, this is a weathered steel bridge that will be 12-foot wide, that will provide pedestrian access, but it also is wide enough and carry the weight load for ambulance or maintenance vehicles, and police get access to it if we need to get access to the park. There'll be 2 historic stations to start with, and as we add more trails, we'll add more to talk about the history of Noble Park in the Elbow area. There'll be a trailhead map at the beginning. We'll have a water fountain. We've got 5 fitness stations, and this is just samples. They're fitness stations that we can buy the materials and build ourselves. F&M Bank provided the funds for a bike repair station. And then 15 storybook trail displays. And the way that works is you take pages out of a book, and to encourage youth to walk, they walk to the first one, they read a page of the book, and then they walk to the next display and they read the next page. And so as they go, they read the entire book.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
we'll add some more of those. Just trying to encourage a healthy lifestyle and add amenities to our community. And of course, we will have benches and bike racks and those kind of amenities as well. We think we submitted a pretty competitive application this time. There is a new grant under the infrastructure grant that the federal government passed. The Federal Highway Administration raised grant, Rebuilding America Infrastructure with Sustainability and Equity. We're working on this grant application to present to you for your approval for us to submit it. But what we're working on is the full depth reconstruction of Sooner Road and replacing the bridge on Sooner Road and the bridge right in here. That's a $10 million project. The 19th Street full depth reconstruction of it. It'd be $12 million for all the two bridges and the two roads. This is an 80% grant, so we could get almost $10 million and almost $2.5 million, and that would come out of our 3/4 CIP sales tax. The application is due in April. Highway, bridge, and other road projects are eligible. So we are working on that grant application to bring to you at a future meeting for you to review and approve for us to submit it. The other grant that we just found out Friday is the ATP, or Airport Terminal Program Discretionary Funds. And we've talked about in the past replacing our existing terminal, build a new state-of-the-art terminal where Hangar 1A is. And we'll be talking about this project at our airport board meeting next week, and probably bringing it back to you at our next meeting. We plan to put a restaurant space in the new terminal, and this won't be part of this particular application, but eventually, we've already started buying part of this land, 70-acre business park as part of the airport. On this particular grant, the first round is due in March of this year. We probably won't hit that one. We're working with the Oklahoma Aeronautics Commission. They annually provide awards of $500,000 grants for new terminal construction. So we're thinking that next March 2023 is when we would look at submitting this application. For our airport is a non-primary airport. This can pay 95% of the cost of building a terminal.
Oh, wow.
And with the $500,000 grant, we can use that as our matching funds. So if we get this funded, we would get the terminal at no cost.
Yeah, that'd be
to the
awesome.
city. But the thing we need to do, if we're going to have a competitive application, is we will need to work with the airport engineer and sign a contract with them, because we will need terminal architectural plans, site plan, cost estimate, and environmental and airway assessment. So we need the plans in hand before next spring, so that we'll be in a position to have a competitive application.
Yeah.
So after we visit with the airport board, of course, City of Edmond and City of Guthrie split the cost on the airport, but we'll probably be coming back to you to ask funding the development of the plans for the project, so that we have plans in hand by next March to submit for the FY 2023 project. And that's my staff report. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Did a good job, Leroy.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
I have one question concerning the Highland Park thing. The largest cost involved there was the turf.
Yeah.
Could we do without the turf and get swings and a gazebo?
Gazebo. Yeah.
I mean,
I thought so.
gazebo and swings, but no turf.
We really are reluctant to not kind of cut back and do playground equipment without the right type of surface under it for a couple of reasons. One, safety, and then secondly, ADA, handicap
That's what the turf's
accessibility.
about?
Correct.
Oh, okay.
So-
I don't think either one of us understood that.
So we'd rather do the gazebo out of this grant and then look for other funding opportunities so that when we do park improvements, we're doing it where we're providing a safe surface, but also a surface that makes it available for handicap access.
All right, thank you, Leroy.
Thank you.
All right, comments from members of city council. Don, you got anything you want to say?
Yeah. You know I was gonna, no.
I figured you did. That's why I started with you.
While we're on the kick of the demolition deal,
Okay.
I don't know if the whole council knows, I know some of us know, but when we do the demolition and we have the money invested in that property, by state statute, we're supposed to be able to put it on that property's taxes. And the county is supposed to collect that back for us. Well, it's not happening at our county. So I think all of us need to put some tension on finding out why, whether we send our attorney over there and get to the bottom of it or whatever we need to be. We should be getting that money back, and they should be trying to get that back for us through the taxes. But the way I understand the way it's worked now is they worry about getting what they can get towards their tax bill, but they don't care about what we have against it. So whatever we need to do that, whether we send Billy over there with a hacksaw or whatever, I think that's something.
Hacksaw becomes a slow way to do that, wouldn't it?
It's good that we're cleaning up, but to just keep throwing money in the hole when there's a mechanism there that's set up by state law, and it's just because it's not being done in the right way.
Administered, yeah.
But my understanding is the property can't get sold until the taxes are paid and we get our money.
Well, it's a lien, it's a tax.
The way it is our understanding and the way that it works in a lot of counties is when we send a bill to the property owners, they don't pay it, then it is recorded with the county and becomes a lien, and it carries the same weight as property taxes. In most counties, when you go in to pay your taxes, you can't just pay your property taxes and ignore the demolition lien. You have to pay both. If you don't pay it, then after so many years, it goes on for sheriff's sale. But the way it's been done in our county, it never goes to sheriff's sale because they're allowed to pay the property taxes to keep it off sheriff's sale and let our lien sit there. And
Can we foreclose on our lien?
we can, but it's a very,
Foreclose on mine,
There's a process.
it's a very cumbersome process. Billy and I are planning on meeting with the assistant district attorney that advises the county to see if we can convince him that the statute is supposed to be followed the way we interpret it in the way it's done in other counties. So that'll be the first step, and Mr. Wheeler is supposed to be in the process of requesting that meeting. and hopefully we can make some progress there. Because otherwise, yes, we would never, our liens would never come into play because it would never go to tax sale. The only way they would come in lien if somebody was to sell the property and they had to clean up the title. But yes, you could foreclose on them, but that is a pretty cumbersome process. And I'll let
Billy, when you go
city
to tax sale.
Thanks for that information, I didn't know that.
And to clarify that, so basically if they come in and just pay the minimum, it just passes it down the road.
I get it.
So if they don't pay anything, it doesn't
I get it.
affect us, but the county's giving them the option to pay a minimum
I know.
amount that doesn't include ours, and then it never accumulates in 3 years, it never goes to the sale.
Yeah,
I
that's
know
all right.
2 or 3 properties I know of here in town that I've seen that several times. They'll be on the list, and the day of or the day before, they go in and pay a pittance towards that. Although once it's off of the sale deal, and it starts the process all over again.
John, your 5 minutes is up.
Yeah,
You have any comment?
I was commenting to the city attorney.
Jeff, do you have any comment?
Staff, thank you. You guys did a great job tonight. All of you did. I really appreciate it. Thank you too, Leroy. I think this is great tonight. It's kind of an eye-opening for several of us. And also, I think the people out there, I'm hoping you learn some things tonight as well. So, thank you.
Okay.
No comments.
Right.
Same thing. I think staff did great. Shonda, Joe, you did awesome. Bill, you know, the thing about it is it's a tough road. I mean, tough road to actually go down on these dilapidated houses because I feel bad for everybody. But, you know, we got a process in place and they can do what they can do and keep it off it. And Leroy, you do a great job if I haven't told you that lately. So I just want to let you know that publicly. I think you do an
Thank you.
awesome job.
Thank you.
That's it.
Gary?
I just want to say again to Bill, and you code enforcers, I know you got a tough deal to go, but it's an important job, and I appreciate you.
Let's do this next time.
A lot of good comments, and watch out for the people in Ukraine. You might say a prayer for them. That adjourns our city council meeting. We now will back up to our Guthrie Public Works Authority meeting. Call it to order. Public comments, community announcements, recognitions, consent agenda. Approve the minutes of the February 15, 2022 Public Works Authority meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Place your bets. Unanimous. Item number 4, discussion of possible action to approve resolution 2022-05 amending fees, charges, and policies for services in connection with the collection and disposal of solid waste. Leroy.
I don't think we'll take action on this tonight, but I put a packet on your desk, and if you all would review that before our next meeting,
That'd be
we'll
great.
try to send out some information. In there, I've got the resolution from 2006, which is the last time we raised the rates. Just kind of tell you a little bit about the packet that you have. One thing you might want to pay attention to, the second item in your packet, we have an agreement with Cedar Valley where we only add 25 cents to their bill, which makes it very attractive compared to what we charge our residents. So you might want to look at that. Resolution 2016 did not update the rates. All it did was put all of our rates into one location. I got the contract with Waste Connections in there, and then their renewal from 2018, which expires in 2013. The spreadsheet that we talked from back in June, at that time, we had looked at the rates started in 2011. At that time, they were $7.45, and then went forward to 2020, which meant that it was a 10% increase. Well, you know, we haven't done it since 2006. So in the green part, I went back to 2006. And over that period, from 06 to 2022, the cumulative increase from Waste Connections has been a little over 21%.
See, I was thinking they were getting a little
Yeah.
more than their
Yeah.
lion's share.
And then I again put in a sheet showing what other communities around us charge for trash. I did want, the next sheet I put in for your review between now and the next meeting to remind you, and I haven't dug into this a lot of details, but when you look at the revenue our convenience center generates, and then if you look at the manpower it takes to operate it, and then what we pay to have the trash hauled off, we end up subsidizing the convenience center or lose money out there about $50,000 to $60,000 a year. So that's part of the reason why we have to have a markup on the garbage collection to help pay that offset. I put a draft ordinance or a draft resolution to do the rates. And Exhibit A, I just put spots, holders to put the new rates in. One of the things that I think there's some broker accounts where we have 3 businesses in town. They don't pay any markup at all. So I've added a section on broker accounts so that we can start adding a percentage to their invoice as well. And then an automatic cost adjustment. So if we've got a markup, if Waste Connections, whoever our provider, goes up 2%, then ours ought to go up 2% plus that markup. And so I've started working on language to add for those 2 items. I've got the invoice from May of 2006, and I did a spreadsheet showing how that plays out as far as what it costs to provide those services and then what our revenue is. And it's kind of enlightening. It's all over the book. For example, single-family rates inside of the city limits is $6.89 is what Waste Connection charges us. But on our 2006 resolution is set to rate, we're at $13.24. That's 92% markup, or 192%. But then if you go to outside the city limits and additional polycart, the markup's a negative 5.7%. And it's all over the book, anywhere from additional polycarts, 162% markup. It's all over. There's no rhyme or reason why the markup's the same. And I tried to give some examples at the bottom. If you just look at the residential, the markup is 78% when you average them all together. Commercial is 45%. My understanding from you all is you would like to see that more leveled out, where the markup is similar between residential and commercial. So if you average those 2 together, the markup would be 60%. So when I do the ordinance to bring back to you, probably what I will do is take what we're currently being charged and do a 60% markup across the board for all of them. And so those like single-family residential, that's 92%. Well, when they go to 60% markup, their increase is going to be substantially less than somebody that's at 34% markup now, because they got some catching up to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And I tried to give some examples. So anyway, if you all would look at this, I'll try to get it in the packet so you have time to read it before the next meeting.
Well, this
And
is
these
it
costs
right
don't-
here.
These costs don't even include the cost of picking up the trash that people dump all over the place in Guthrie, right? Like out of the
No.
lake.
Correct.
Has nothing to do with that.
So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the last item, so I guess we are adjourned.